Well, hey guys, good morning. Good daylight savings time morning. Here we are. I got to put on my artificial light this morning because, man, it's still kind of dark out there. Hope you guys are up and at 'em this morning. Good Sunday morning out here in the California desert, 7 a.m. Pacific. Looking forward to some good doubles this morning on the grass. With a big O and a couple of other big hitters, we've got our work cut out for us this morning, but looking forward to it. So guys, look, what I've got for you today is I want to share an email that I received yesterday. And it really kind of describes, I think, what I've got up here in that picture, which is the ultimate feeling that we're looking for when we're playing. And, you know, we get so tied up in all the technique possibilities, all the tactic possibilities, you know, the between point stuff with the mental, obviously with the fitness thing, but it all should be culminating. It all should be aggregating itself to produce this feeling, this result that we want when we play, so that we're out there doing what we love to do with the game of tennis, right? I mean, you know as well as I do, one of the great feelings that we have in tennis is just that sensation when we make contact with the ball, and it feels just that amazing feeling that we get. And I'm not going to talk about that, but I'm going to talk about more of just kind of the mental thing of why we're out there and what we can eventually get to that will help us play at the very top of our current skill level. And then if you really want to put in the work from there, be able to move the needle and keep going up the improvement ladder. Guys, before we get into it today, look, a couple things. Number one, if you're brand new to web tennis and my online coaching, welcome. I've got some courses I want to get to you. They are short, they are complimentary, they're free. I've got your back on these. All you got to do is go over to webtennis.com, drop in a first name and an email address, and you'll get access to the members area where you can sign up for a free membership and get access to those courses. Guys, if you're really into, you know, in general, becoming a better player, just not sitting on the sidelines and kind of being entertained by the game, but you really want to kind of dig in and get better, then if you're over at YouTube, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you're alerted every time we either go live, as we are this morning, or if I upload some pre-recorded stuff for you. And then if you're really into the mental part of the game, click the like and the share. Whatever's available to you, either at Facebook or YouTube. So I know that this is the kind of stuff that you want to learn more about, and I will make sure to put it on my to-do list. And then finally, guys, if there's one area, a specific area of your game, again, it could be technique, could be tactics, could be mental, could be physical, and you're just not getting it figured out, getting a little frustrated with it, then let me know. Brent at webtennis.com. I do offer private one-on-one coaching through Zoom, and either we can just chat or we can actually bring up some video, either yours and or mine, or you know, some other video that could possibly help you solve whatever you're working on right now. Again, Brent at webtennis.com. I'll get back to you and let you know how the program works, and see, you can then decide and if it's going to be a good fit for you or not. So guys, let's talk about what I've got up here, which is the ultimate feeling. And this actually brings up a few things for me. This email did. One of them, which ironically was something that my good friend and often practice partner, hey Mike, good morning, Owen, talked about yesterday after our doubles match. And I will bring that up after I read the email, and then there's something else I want to mention as well. But this is from a good friend, a guy who I have got so much respect for, a doctor, Dr. Dave, great guy, and he writes. He says, "Hi Brent, I know you're on the lookout for feedback to your content, so here it is." And he breaks it down into three parts. Number one, to me, the real test of someone's book or video is simple. Am I turning the pages or not? Your new shortened format has almost, without me noticing it, turned me into a regular viewer. I am surprised almost that the 7-minute thing make such a difference as whether I am going to engage or not. For me, at least, it really does. Number two, I want to comment especially on the episode this week where Jeff drops in, right? Well, we had a spur of the moment with Jeff a week ago today on Sunday where we teed up his forehand. For some reason, his clear-cut description of the simplified forehand and the comments on balance and weight shift, really almost a lack of it, where he describes just, quote, standing up, unquote, really hit me. I went out that day and hit with Jaroslav and played the best tennis of my life, I think. Actually, that is exactly what Jaroslav said. This is the best I've ever seen you play in 10 years. Above all, I felt the most relaxed, confident, and non-thinking on my forehand ever. And then he goes on to say, I guess it was a case of the student being ready, but I also think Jeff and you really have nailed a combination of pointing out what we hackers have been taught that is wrong. And then he so clearly showed why the simplified stroke is the one you want to take into a match with you. And then number three, and this is the part that really kind of nailed me when I was reading this last night. Number three, lastly, and I think as coaches, you want this the most. This has opened up my eyes to the whole subject of balance. And so the whole game feels different to me now. Less effort, less rushing, more waiting, more time, more smoothness, and feel. So look, that is the key. That's really the whole thing that we're looking for as players, is what Dave just described, which is balance, right? And with balance, physical balance, right? So that you receive the ball with a simplified stroke. You don't, with complicated technical stuff, go out there and end up kind of fighting the ball. And if we get too complicated with technique, we get tight, we get tense because it does not feel natural. It doesn't feel flowing. It doesn't feel fluid. And we end up fighting the ball, right? We get off balance. We get ahead of ourselves because we don't want the ball. And yet the way Dave describes this here is the whole subject of balance. And so the whole balance, and I mean in terms of physical, right? Being on balance, waiting, allowing the ball to get into your stable platform that you can swing away from, right? Not getting the upper body out in front. But the whole subject of balance, and so the whole game feels different to me now. Less effort. Think about that. Less effort, right? More swing flow, right? Less effort, less rushing. more waiting, more time, and more smoothness and feel. And so Owen and I talked about this yesterday a little bit after our match. And one of the things I know he's really kind of gotten in his head lately is this whole notion of how do I wait for the ball on balance, not get the upper body too far out in front, wait for it so that and look, he and I talk a lot about baseball, both he and I as kids. And he actually, as a young senior, played a ton of baseball. And as a hitter, we allow the ball to get into our unique strike zone, right? The pitcher's trying to upset us with that, right? The pitcher's either throwing fastballs when we might be thinking something, either a changeup or a breaking ball's coming in, and getting us waiting, and then all of a sudden the ball's on us too fast, or just the opposite, which is to be thinking that it's going to be, something where we want to get out in front, and we get out in front too early, and the ball's not there yet, right? So that's what you're looking for in this game, is that feeling, the ultimate feeling, maybe a little hypey. Okay, so it's not clickbait, I promise you that, but it's that ultimate feeling of you feeling under control, that you can wait to allow the ball to get into your unique strike zone so that you can receive it. You can receive the ball where and when you want it, and then be able to play a very simplified stroke so that, as Dave talks about, you end up playing the best tennis he thinks of his life, which was, especially on his forehand side, being able to wait for the ball, not feeling rushed, and feeling smooth, and having some feel at contact with the ball. And the third thing I want to mention is this picture that I've got up here, which was taken in September of 2019 in Umag in Croatia, when I was captain that year. Actually, the last 2 years, 2018, 2019, of the USA 70s team, right? A 4-player team. Honored to be captain of those two teams. And here we are. This picture is taken inside the ATP Stadium in Umag, Croatia, where every year they have a big ATP, men's tournament there. Obviously you can call it red clay, but it's this beautiful orange. It's incredible. And I just remembered that day. This was the opening ceremonies. We were done with the opening ceremonies, and then the team was taking some personal pictures. And to me, this picture represents what I got from Tom Stowe back in the day, which was balance, to be able to play the game on balance. And that really goes back to what I've talked about so often. The first 15 or 20 minutes of a 3-hour session with Mr. Stowe, with the other 3 guys who were already, these guys were already top 5 in NorCal, short of calling them world-class players. Doug King was out there in the tour, certainly a world-class player. And then there was me, and I just said, well, if this is good enough for these guys, if Mr. Stowe is making us kind of shadow around the court for the first 15 or 20 minutes, not hitting a tennis ball and feeling that balance, feeling that posture, and rehearsing a forehand, rehearsing a backhand, and rehearsing it with perfect balance and posture, and feeling that. And then once balls were introduced, maintaining that same feeling, that was really the ultimate goal. That was the ultimate feeling of playing the game. Because if you had that, then what you found with Mr. Stowe's very simplified, on balance, good posture, stroke technique, what you found was, wow, this is a different way of playing the game. This is a different way of hitting the tennis ball. This is a different way of playing a transitional volley. This is a different way of playing a transitional half volley. This is a really different way in doubles of being up at net and feeling like you can receive the volley rather than reaching out too far and trying to get rid of it. And I've talked a lot about how I got the feeling of the volley from Mr. Stowe, and Jim McLennan, who we had on Thursday morning, mentioned this, that Tom made him sit down on a stool on the court, and he just underhand fed him some balls and gave him, as he did with me, gave him the feeling of what the forehand volley is like, the feeling of the backhand volley in terms of what does it feel like of the ball coming off your racket, which you don't get if you're too far out in front. If you're slightly ahead of what is the on balance, good posture point of contact, you never get that feeling. And I think I mentioned this to you before, when he sat me down initially on the stool for the volley, on the forehand side, the first couple, I was so far out in front, and it was one of those stools that had, the rungs around about halfway from the bottom of the stool to the seat part of it, where you could put your feet on. So I was not touching the court with my feet. And the first couple, I was so far out in front, I had to catch myself from falling off the stool. And all he did was just kind of look at me and just said one word: wait, W-A-I-T. And that next ball, the third ball, I waited and forehand volley, and the ball just rocketed off the strings with hardly any effort. Oh my God, it's like a life-changing experience. And it probably was, it probably was for me at that point in terms of my game. So here's the big O, saying balance is the key to every sport, and drills to improve balance will now be an integral part of my training after 70 years. So there you have it. Anyway, look, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's session. And all I can encourage you to do is, when you get out today on the court, is do a little rehearsing with your forehand, rehearsing with your backhand, shadow swings, right? Whatever you want to call them. But feel, and I think too often what I see is players go out there and they see, how fast can I swing my racket when I rehearse it, as if swinging fast is the ultimate goal. Well, typically, if you have some swing speed when you're on balance, okay, that's fine. But if you don't have the on balance posture first as your foundation, all that stuff does not matter. So get out there for, I'm going to call it 2 minutes, 3 minutes of just kind of rehearsing your swing, forehand swing, and feeling your posture, feeling your balance, that when you finish that swing, are you still on balance? Are you, as Jeff says, have you created a stable platform to swing from? Right? And the feeling for me, and for whatever reason on my backhand, it's completely natural, probably because I hit left-handed in baseball. But on my backhand, I mean, my platform is so much more stable than my forehand. As I move over to the ball, I'm carrying that stable platform, moving the whole package over, and I just feel like I receive the ball so much better than I do on my forehand. So for me, it's a constant reminder to make sure that on my forehand that I'm not too far ahead of the ball. I'm not getting my upper body in front. I'm actually on balance, great posture, allowing the ball to get into that foundation that I want. And look, if the ball's about to bounce twice, well, rather than keeping your feet kind of stuck and reaching forward, move the entire package up. Move it from the hips, move it from the lower body, so that you get closer to the ball rather than leaning forward. So that's it. I could go on this topic forever. We're almost at 17 minutes, right? 17, around 7. Here we go. Guys, that's it for me today. Look, thanks for hanging out with me as always. Love to read your feedback, your comments, your questions. Obviously love to get your email feedback, as I did with Dr. Dave yesterday, Brent@webtennis.com. And whatever it is, if you want some, if you know, it can be critical. Hopefully it's positive criticism, but if not, if you want to rant, go for it. Not going to hurt my feelings. But if there's something that you've worked on, such as with Dave's email, that finally kind of clicked for you, I would love to know that too, because for me, when I read those comments or I read those emails where something has really finally clicked, and look, I will never tell you clickbait wise that, oh boy, you know, I've got the answer. I can help you play your forehand just like Fed. No, it may take a dozen times of hearing the exact same word, phrase, term, whatever you want to call it, or seeing it on a video for it to finally become that epiphany for you, for it finally to become that aha moment where you go, whoa, I see, I got it. And then look, smart players will go, now that's the beginning of being able to drill this thing into where it becomes natural, where it becomes instinctive for you, right? Don't make that mistake that once you get the epiphany that now I've got it, it's in there. I mean, you've got the realization of what you need to do in terms of, well, now this is what I'm going to really spend my time on. And just like Owen said right there, you know, the drills to improve his balance will now be an integral part of his training. So he's had the epiphany. He's had the aha moment. And I know that he'll be the first person to say, Brent, man, that's not the first time you've told me this stuff, is it? So that's the way that we kind of learn. At least that's the way I learned. It takes me, you know, when I read a book, I got to read that dude a few times before I get it. And it's interesting. I'll read a book and I'll go back and I go, why did I not highlight this thing? This is the thing. And so I like to read a book two or three times, and then I go back and read the notes or the underline. And anyway, bleh, bleh, bleh. Guys, it's time to get out there today. Help someone else have a spectacular day. Guys, I'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great day.